This is Ken Lafler, and today we're at Dos Lagos Dam. And today we're discussing, was this dam on the verge of failure? And being a hydraulic engineer, or an hydraulic engineer to be correct, I would have to say I have questions about this structure. It was built in the 1920s and obviously has quite a bit of structural damage to it if you notice on the sides. Um, Also, this would be the spillway part of the dam, which is actually quite well built. It was probably built in the 1970s, and had the dam failed, this would most likely have been left. To reach this area, you have to walk across the dam, as I'm doing, and you come over to the spillway part. Care should be taken in this area because it's quite steep. It's about a 75-foot fall. And by looking at the canyon sides, I would say this was probably the worst place they could have picked. There's quite a bit of fracturing in the rock. It's just not a stable area. There's landslides all over the area, and if you look behind the spillway, there's quite a few boulders that have fallen from the hillside, which are about the size of cars. So that to me says a lot of hillside instability. Um, Also, if one looks at the hillside, there's quite a bit of faulting and fracturing. Right there's a good example. You can see it right there. This is a large ladder, but there's the boulder area down there where the boulders have actually fallen into the spillway area. So I think they picked a very bad spot for the dam. I didn't get a chance to go on the face of the dam on the downstream side, but I imagine there were quite a bit of pools of water. It's drained now. I would have liked to look at that. But I didn't notice how much cracking there was when I was there until I viewed the videotape, and I was shocked that they actually were still using this structure. It's built in a three-tier type of construction, as you can see. And I think the first part was in the 1920s, and it's in a total state of disintegration. It's actually turned to sand. This is the direction the floodway would have gone, which would have gone straight into Corona. So I feel this was I feel at the least it was a structure that should have been questioned. Um, but anyway, this is my documentary from Dos Lagos Dam, and this is Ken Lafler signing off. Thanks for viewing. Good evening, and this is part two of my series on the Dos Lagos, or I believe it's called actually Lee Lake. My research indicated it was Lake Lee or Lee Lake, but it's called Dos Lagos now, and it used to be stocked with fish. In fact, I believe the largest game fish caught in Southern California were caught here, and I believe they were bass that were over 2 feet. So, but as we're walking in from, I believe it's Railway Canyon, heading into Corona. And here's the dam and the superstructure. And as you can see, it's built in three sections. It's almost like a cake, the way it was built. One in the 1920s, I believe one in the 50s, and then the other in the 70s. And then the spillway, I believe, was built in the 70s. And the spillway is of excellent construction. It's quite strong and sturdy. If, like I said in part one, if the dam did fail, that section of the dam would remain. So, but the other part is highly questionable. As you can see, the base of the dam is actually almost in disintegration. In fact, it just trails off into dirt. And that was filled with about 40 feet of water all the way up to the top where the yellow bracing is. So that part was in use until just recently. I believe it was up to about a year or two ago that the dam was completely filled, which I didn't notice the damage to it when I was first there, but when I reviewed the videotape, I was shocked by the amount of disintegration of the dam. So, but that's just the spillway. As I was saying in the earlier part, you can see by the hillside, there's quite a bit of fracturing there. This is a terrible place to have built a dam. There's all kinds of vertical cracking. And you can see where the dam was filled to the top at one time. And I don't know what those round posts are down there, but I kind of it seemed like the X-Files or something when I was there. It was and this is the face of the dam going downstream. And I would have liked to inspect this when it was full because I would have looked for pools of water at the base of the dam. This is called hydraulic uplift. It means that the dam is being uplifted from the bottom, which right there you can see this was a perfect spot for hydraulic uplift. There's the round post right there. I don't know what those were used for, but right there it would have undermined the dam. At this point, the structure is cut in half. This is what's called a gravity arch dam, meaning that the dead weight of the structure is enough to hold the water back. This is the face of the dam. Like I said, I would have liked to have inspected this when it was full because I can guarantee there would have been quite a bit of pools of water down there. This is the same situation as the St. Francis Dam in 1928, which collapsed near Newhall, and was actually the largest gravity arch dam in the world, and was the same structure as Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam is quite a bit taller, but St. Francis was the tallest dam in the world at the time, and I believe over 750 people were killed when St. Francis failed. And you can still see the remains of the dam in San Francisco Canyon. And Mulholland was the engineer in charge of the project, and I believe it pretty much ruined his life. So, but here's once again the face of the dam. You can access the spillway. You have to actually walk across the dam over to the spillway, which is kind of scary. It's quite steep. I don't recommend it. It's a dangerous walk. There's rattlesnakes all over the place. But as you can see, the hillside is just. This is not where I would have. It's not a site I would have chosen for a dam. It's very unstable, and there's quite a few boulders. You can see there's landslides which indicate hillside instability. Here's what's left of the lake. Actually, there's a certain degree of quicksand here, or marshy areas where one can get stuck. I would be very careful. It's quite a ways back, and nobody would hear you yelling for help, and I almost got stuck back there. So, anyway, so yeah, there's a little quicksand here. You see right there is a perfect example of where the dam is in total disintegration. Completely falling apart. This area was built in the 1920s, and I didn't really notice this when I was there, but when I looked at the tape, I was absolutely shocked that they were still using this structure. And here's a shot from further back, and you can see the three-tiered design of the dam. That's a good example right there. The spillway, though, I would say is very well constructed. Whoever did the structure on that knew what they were doing. And well, I think I'm getting ready to sign off here. Getting a little short of breath here. Got a quick smoke of cigarettes. And okay, well, I may have some more to comment on here. Oh, I see we're coming down to the end anyway. So this is Ken Lafler at Dos Lagos Dam, and don't go there unless you know what you're doing. Okay, bye.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.